Dear guests, dear speakers, I would like to announce our third panel for today and the last one, investment into energy, opportunities and challenges. Dear speakers, please get prepared, and guests, you're welcome to take your seats. We all heard that besides reforms and the need for financing, projects in energy require also being bankable. What does it mean, and what are the bankability requirements from different financial institutions, international financial organizations, and international other organizations that support Ukrainian energy projects? And with this remark, I would like to invite speakers to our panel. And first of all, I would like to invite moderator Svetlana Andrushchenko, Recovery and Reform Support Team Director at the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine. Alexei Sobolev, First Deputy Minister of Economy of Ukraine. Mark Magaletsky, Deputy Head of Ukraine, Deputy Head Ukraine, Sustainable Infrastructure, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. Eleanor Robbins, Senior Investment Officer, Ukraine Infrastructure Lead, International Finance Corporation. Idar Kreutzer, Regional Director of the Confederation of Norwegian Enterprise, Norwegian representative in the Business Advisory Council, Ukraine Donor Platform. Gabriel Blanche, Team Leader for Reconstruction Policy, European Commission. Tomasz Ochrimovich, Deloitte's Global Leader in Future of Ukraine program, committed to post-war rebuilding of Ukraine. And Ahmad Badr, Director, Project Facilitation and Support from IRENA. Dear speakers, moderator, I wish to you a very fruitful discussion.
Dear guests, honorable speakers, everybody who are here, we are partners, and we greatly appreciate your participation and your support in such a really tremendous support for Ukraine during war, and recovery during war is extremely important for us. International partners, international cooperation, international financial institutions are dramatically important during the times of war. As the previous panels also focused that this cooperation is one of the focal points for our survival currently. And the focal issue that we are going to discuss during our panel as the platform for discussion of the role of investment, private investment, what are the main gaps, challenges, opportunities, especially with the focus on clear energy development, low carbon development, what are the initiatives from Ukrainian perspectives and international partners' visions of energy projects currently. So, from the Ukrainian perspectives, my first word is to the Mr. Alexei Sobolev, our Deputy Minister of Economy, and the question I would like to provide to Mr. Sobolev it's concerning the current initiatives supporting investment attraction into Ukrainian energy sector. What are the main legislative, regulatory activities to provide, to support, to facilitate the investment opportunities in Ukraine energy sector, and what are the perspectives from the vision of the Deputy Minister of Economy? You're welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much. So, in general, we're doing a lot to attract the investment in general. So, energy sector, I think, is the most capital-intensive part of this investment sector. So, basically, whatever applies to investment applies here. We see a lot of demand. Of course, there's some specificity for the energy sector. So in general, for the energy sector, because of the shelling, we tried as a government to deregulate everything what was possible to be able to move projects faster. The other special programs that we have for investment in the energy sector is, for example, like special loans at the 579 program that the government runs, aimed exactly at the the distributed energy system. So there is additional financing. But I think the bigger vehicle that we have is, of course, Ukraine investment framework, which is part of Ukraine investment Ukraine facility. There was 1.4 billion of top-ups to existing programs with IFIs. I think we're gonna cover some of them. Were signed during Berlin in June this year. So the money are being deployed right now through like a lot of it. We know we did the portfolio reviews for that are going to exactly energy. Then we have the grant programs that the government is running. So also the programs for the programs for like processing industries, and like this allows some of the energy sector also apply to these grants. And the last probably bit would be the support to investments in general. So we're launching the program finally, like investment nannies, which people probably, if you were dealing with Ukraine, a lot of you have heard about it. Like they're actually working, meaning that this is the program where the government compensates up to 15% of your capex investment. So this come online the last 2 months. So we had 2 first transactions, and we see a lot of the companies that are kind of in the line for this budget funding to compensate for their capex investments, and some of the projects also in energy. Yeah, I guess that's the main points.
Thank you very much, Alexei. Thank you. And all our speakers, they are representatives of international financial institutions and programs, and their input into the recovery, investment, development of the investment environment in Ukraine are undeniable. And my question to Mr. Mark Magaletsky, considering the urgency of reconstruction Ukraine's energy infrastructure and the significant investment already made by EBRD, what key gaps remain in attracting private investments in Ukraine, and what are the specific RBD instruments that are currently deployed to address these gaps, and a couple of words about such instruments as the Commercial Risk Guarantee Fund and its further role for the attracting investments in large-scale private investment energy projects. You're welcome.
Thank you, Svetlana. Good afternoon. I will start the answer with gaps. And here, maybe it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I think the main priority for the energy sector would be to fix corporate governance in the key state-owned companies like Ukrenergo and Energoatom. Ukrenergo has been the model of corporate governance for many years, but some unfortunate developments in September derailed the company a bit, but at the same time it's a problem, but it's not the end of the world, and we have an agreement. We international partners, we had a friend discussion with the government, and Alexei was leading on the government side, and we agreed a certain action plan how to fix the corporate governance in the company, how to reload the supervisory board, and get the company full on track, and we hope that this will be done by December as we agreed. And the next one is Energoatom. Some important steps on company corporatization has already been done. The first supervisory board with independent majority is elected, and we hope that they will start their operations soon, and that would lead to important transformations of the company, which is and will remain the main player in the energy sector. So in terms of instruments, I would highlight, first of all, Ukraine facility, because that provides very good and practical instruments to promote financing and investments in the sector. And we already have a good example. Our first project was signed in June. This is a biofuel plant in Ukraine. And now we are finalizing a very big transaction in renewable sector with Galnaftagaz. This is Volyn Wind. And here we are together with European Union and our partners from IFC. And the guarantees that are provided under this facility help a lot to improve the terms of the financing for the investors in terms of amounts, in terms of tenors, and in terms of pricing. And we hope that, you know, that would be one of the first projects, but many more to come, and we would be happy to work with investors on developing new transaction, and together with European Union and other partner IFIs to finance more of those. We are also talking about possible grant co-financing of such projects, and we will hope to have good examples soon. And in terms of the guarantee fund, indeed, this is a new idea, but we are very much supportive, because this will address one of the major issues that we have in the energy sector, which is the lack of strong off-takers on the market. And there are willing investors, there are willing financial institutions, but this is the gap that could be addressed with the guarantee fund. And we are not talking about government support, we are talking about commercial instrument which would help to address commercial issues. So that's the new one, the new idea. It will be presented in more detail by renewable associations tomorrow, but we would be happy to work together with all stakeholders to make it happen. So I think these are the key messages that I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Magiletsky. And my next question is to Ms. Eleanor Robbins, the Ukraine infrastructure lead in International Finance Corporation. And the question is about the IFC role in dealing with the current urgently needs in repairing, and also focusing with the further projects which are oriented on developing low carbon energy projects. Probably you can share with us your experience of some gaps and challenges you meet, and what are the main ways you deal with these challenges, dealing with the investment into the private sector in the energy sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana, and happy to be here. For those that may not know, IFC is the private sector arm of the World Bank Group, so we're the largest development finance institution focusing on the private sector globally. Following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, we launched what's called the Economic Resilience Action Program. This sets out a framework under which IFC committed to taking own exposure risk, so taking on risk on its own balance sheet, for initially $1 billion, and this has now become $2 billion, very much aided by concessional finance instruments such as the guarantees from the European Union, as well as many other donor partners that have supported us in this endeavor. We've been, initially we were doing a lot of work through financial institutions and looking at short-term finance to help businesses keep running and keep the lights on. We've now, as part of this Economic Resilience Action Program, very much expanded our focus area to critical infrastructure. We were very happy to sign the landmark telecommunications project a month or so ago, as our first major FDI investment in critical infrastructure under the program, and now energy is soon to come with private sector investments expected to be announced later this year. In the way that we framed the response has been quite deliberate in terms of looking at new models and new ways to invest. And this is in a context where the sector was already, of course, facing significant financial difficulties before the invasion. And in fact, IFC had on that basis decided not to previously invest. So we've very much taken a fresh look. We've been, for the kind of immediate winterization needs, we've put forward a program of risk share facilities with financial institutions, which have a specific targeting of an incentive mechanism for purchasing energy equipment and small-scale distributed generation solutions. That's a 450 million euro program, and we're signing the first facilities under that program during the course of the month. And then at the same time, that's kind of thinking about meeting immediate and small-scale needs. At the same time, we're progressing, as Mark mentioned, this financing of utility-scale, much larger scale renewable energy projects. With the first to hopefully commit very soon with our project with Galnaftagaz and quite a few others to follow. So nice pipeline of medium-term projects, which is very much needed, looking beyond this winter to hopefully be in a stronger position 1 year from now in terms of generating capacity and diversified energy mix. The guarantee fund idea, I think, is an interesting one, and it echoes what we've been looking at together with our World Bank colleagues. So across the World Bank group, we've done quite a bit of thinking in terms of the longer-term trajectory of the sector and what may be needed there in terms of both reform and in terms of financial sustainability. I think in terms of the challenge question that you asked, Svetlana, that's still a key one, is visibility of payment streams. Ultimately, this is what investors need to see to be able to bank any project. And today, that's still rather lacking in the sector, and it will prohibit large-scale international, the kind of large-scale international investment that's needed for a bigger build-out of renewable energy capacity. So certainly financial issues, lack of visibility on payment streams, some of the sector governance and regulatory issues that Mark has already mentioned, in addition to, of course, the geopolitical context. Those are the challenges that we're seeing, yet also seeing opportunities in terms of debottlenecking those. We've done some thinking as well on how much can the private sector really contribute to reconstruction, and we do see a very large opportunity for private sector, particularly in the renewable energy and battery storage space. So we I think three kind of key ingredients to that. I mean, sector reforms, there's already been quite a lot of talk about that during the other panels today, so I won't go into too much detail, and I think the sector is on the right path directionally, and great progress has been made in the last couple of years, but more can be done to fully align with EU market. Innovation around business models is key. So the project that's just been mentioned is looking at innovating in terms of sales structure, in terms of commercial structure through a corporate PPA. There are other market models that we're looking now to try and encourage the private sector to take wholesale market risk in a context where it's still fairly nascent, but that's what's needed to also add additional liquidity to the electricity market. And then thirdly is absolutely the concessional finance and the de-risking instruments. Those are key for any of these opportunities to come to fruition, and we've been very grateful as well from the support from the EC and our other partners in terms of making that happen.
Thank you, Lena, very much. And my next question to Idar Kreutzer, and the question is of twofold nature because you're representative of the Confederation of Norwegian Enterprises and Business Advisory Council at the Ukraine Donor Platform. So my question is maybe some specific issues you're addressing currently within the Business Advisory Council, dealing with the Ukraine's energy projects, recovery energy projects. And my next question is about maybe some key technologies you are focusing on in Norwegian and Ukrainian businesses cooperation, and maybe any challenges you can share with us and how you are just addressing them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we are all aware of, a lot of things has happened, and a lot of things are happening to enable business to mobilize in Ukraine. But still, the fact is that we have a pipeline of projects and we have willing investors, and still we see that we are unable to accelerate the necessary projects that we really need to see happening. And that is the purpose of the Business Advisory Council. Put together a group of experts from 16 countries, trying to identify the caveats and advise the government of Ukraine, but also the donor platform, the G7 donor plus donor platform, on which issues, which activities to put in place to fill the gaps and enable the projects to actually happen. We have defined 4 key areas necessary for business to actually be mobilized into Ukraine given the current status. One has to do obviously with security. To connect the security with the business community, to enable businesses to understand risk, mitigate risk and manage risk. The second has to do with an issue that more of the panelists have alluded to, the governance and bureaucracy. How to navigate through everything that is happening and where to connect. The third has to do with access to competence and talent. But the fourth is probably the most important in our context, and that has to do with insurance and financing. And yes, in the guarantee area, a lot of things has happened, which is helpful. What we have identified is that insurance and offtake is the 2 key elements necessary to solve in the short term. We have put together a group of experts in the insurance sector, chaired by the chairman of Lloyd's of London. When it comes to PPA, what we have tried to do is to address more of a PPA framework that can be put in place for a number of projects to ease the necessary financing. The PPA structure that is proposed is currently being debated not only in the Business Advisory Council, but also with the donor platform and with the development banks. This is urgent because the key element to get in place financing is security for the offtake, that you have a bankable customer and a contract that you are able to trust and can bring back to secure the necessary financing. When it comes to Norway and the Norwegian position in this, you know, Norway has been for the last 100 years the most important energy player, energy nation in Europe. So we can and we do participate both when it comes to the financing and insurance, concrete projects, but also when it comes to governance and not least the optimization and Ukraine's role in the energy market. Because we all want Ukraine to be an integral part of a modern, efficient energy market in Europe going forward. If you look at the concrete companies that's being present and active, Equinor being the largest provider of gas to Europe, Statkraft being Europe's largest producer of renewable energy, obviously have resources and skills that is useful. But also when it comes to concrete projects, Scatec, they have already 5 solar plants active in Ukraine. They are currently working on battery projects because that is identified as necessary to balance the market with increased renewable energy. So Scatec is an important player. Energy, they signed an MOU just two hours ago, a new MOU for developing wind farms. Phoenix is also one of the wind producing companies active in Ukraine. The list is long. So we have very close dialogue with these companies, but also we see that in the ultimate short term, we need to get energy production in place. Bergen Engines is one example with gas-fired turbines that can be placed right now and be a part of the energy market also short term. So, but coming back to the pipeline of projects, we see that it's urgently required to get in place well-functioning PPA structures and well-functioning in insurance mechanisms. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your experience and sharing with us. And my next question is to the representative of European Commission, Gabriel Blanc. And Mr. Blanc, what are the specific investment challenges the European Commission see in identifying in recovery of Ukraine's energy sector? Maybe some instruments to deal with these challenges as well. And also, maybe you also could provide us some vision of post-war recovery and the main instruments European Commission view this post-war recovery and the role of sustainability within the energy projects.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. So that's actually 3 questions. I'll try to stick to the 5 minutes. So look, first thing I'd like to start with is indeed Ukraine is firmly engaged in its EU accession process, and this is also extremely important for the energy sector. Ukraine, being a member of the energy community for a long time, has already done a number of reforms, and that's why when we issued recently our enlargement report, there is a rather positive assessment of the energy reforms in Ukraine. But I'd like to point out that the point that Mark just made are extremely important. This is indeed to ensure good governance of key state-owned enterprises in the energy sector. This is also to handle the debt that exists towards renewable energy producers in Ukraine at the moment. This is also about ensuring the independence of the regulators. So all these are very important reforms that are scrutinized as part of the EU accession path of Ukraine. And we believe that this perspective of EU accession, it also provides predictable regulatory framework for investors. And this is something which is extremely important and that we have collectively to promote, because this is part also of the benefit of being engaged in such a process. Then, obviously, the needs are huge, and the capital market in Ukraine is rather shallow. The number of players that have the capacity to invest is rather limited. So what we have been trying to design is actually the financial instruments that can crowd in more investment into the energy sector of Ukraine. And so I'm very, very happy that Oleksiy, Mark and Eleanor all mentioned what we have been doing with the Ukraine investment framework. That's basically guarantee capacity that we are providing to our partners from financing institutions to de-risk investments in Ukraine, in particular in the energy sector. So indeed, we see that the instrument is highly relevant, and that the partner from financing institutions are coming with a good pipeline of projects, and some that have been mentioned by colleagues, including this recent operation where both EBRD and IFC are involved, and we are providing 50 million risk coverage to the EBRD to be financing this operation of a wind farm in West Ukraine. So all this shows it's possible, it's happening now, and if we have the right financial tools, it's possible to overcome the current difficulties that Ukraine faces in relation with obviously the impact of the war and the investment, the perception of investment in Ukraine. So what I wanted to mention as well is that we believe this is very important to mobilize European companies already now, but also thinking ahead for the perspective of the reconstruction of the country. So today we announced a call for expression of interest for all companies based in the European Union and actually in the European economic area, and to make sure that we create a direct channel with private companies in the EU to propose their investments to the Commission, and then we will act as a matchmaker, if you wish, to identify who could be the possible financier on the side of the European, the eligible financing institutions that we are working with. And we expect actually a lot of proposals will come from the energy sector. Now, looking ahead for the future, I think, and it was well discussed in this very room, that we all know Ukraine has a huge potential and it can be the green powerhouse of Europe in the future. This is really how we see the future, the energy future of the country. And actually, this is not only about being a producer of renewable energy, this is also about expanding the value chains that are needed to produce all the equipments that are needed in view of producing renewable energy. And Ukraine being amongst the top 10 in relation with critical raw materials in the world, they can play a decisive role to ensure that actually at the level of the continent we manage to meet the objective of the Green Deal for Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's because of your call and call for Ukraine as an energy hub and with the localization of production and great opportunities of Ukraine. Thank you for that support, obviously. And my next question is to the Tomasz Achremovich, Deloitte global leader on future of Ukraine program. And my questions will be focusing on what are the main priorities of assisting Ukraine within the framework of the program you present. And probably also you could provide us your view on what are the most critical areas that you see for supporting Ukrainian energy sector reconstruction. And also maybe your program provides some innovative financial models or mechanism for supporting investment into the energy sector reconstruction in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana. Maybe a few words of introduction. Maybe some of you have probably heard about Deloitte, but maybe less about our program, Future of Ukraine. We've launched this program 2 years ago to mobilize the firm, but more importantly, our clients, for the purpose of Ukraine's reconstruction. And clients, both public and more importantly, private. So far, we've been working with a number of donor organizations to implement their programs in Ukraine, and now moving into bringing private sector into Ukraine. We have large presence in Ukraine. We have large presence at this conference, at different panels, at different booths, and because Deloitte is doubling down on supporting Ukraine in its reconstruction. One is because it's the right thing to do, but more importantly, we continue to convey the message that this is enormous business opportunity for our clients. And the energy sector in particular, you've mentioned that enormous opportunities in the short term, but more important in the long term for Ukraine to be energy hub for Europe. Ukraine has everything, has nuclear, has coal, has some gas, vast lands for wind power, for solar and biomass. So there is a good energy mix, and if Ukraine has a attractive and cheap energy source, it will flow through the whole economy, will make it competitive. So we've been sort of as part of Future of Ukraine program, we've been conveying and communicating this attractiveness to our clients across the globe. We have Future of Ukraine programs in the US, Canada, all the way through Korea to Japan. But being attractive does not necessarily allow you a guarantee that you get a date. And by no means I'm a relationship advisor. It's only sort of the first thing that somebody will look at you. And that's what we see. A lot of private clients are looking, but not engaging. So now, what needs to be done in order for private clients to get engaged in Ukraine? I think a few factors which were mentioned before here. One is you need to be predictable. Energy sector needs to be predictable. You probably don't want to go out on a date with an unpredictable partner, right? And predictability in this case, predictability in this sense, we need to de-risk energy sector. One is the de-risking from physical damage, but also from the price fluctuations. And this is the key thing that needs to be done. Otherwise, you will not get the bankable projects. And this is where we work with with some of the donor organizations, with government of Ukraine to find out the solutions that will help the investments and bring in private investments into energy sector. Secondly, you probably want to be transparent when you're in a relationship. And that's, again, what the other thing that we see, that some of the projects get rejected because of limited transparency. And we've been working with, on the SOERA program, with sort of improving transparency and governance within Ukrainian public or state-owned company sector. You also, coming back maybe to predictability, EU accession is a great chance for Ukraine energy sector to be more in line with the EU regulation, which will then build confidence into the sector. Ukraine sector is connected to European transmission sector, but there are still gaps in terms of regulation, and we're working both with EU and some of the private clients to navigate, help them change, work on the change in regulations so that it's more closer to European sector. And finally, the sector needs to be easy to work with. At the moment, there is still way too many regulations, and it takes too much time to get the construction permit, and that's a factor of the result of the regulation. But on the other hand, limited capacity. You still need to remember this country is at war, and we're working with again donors and government to build capacity so that there is more projects prepared, ready for the investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomasz, very much for focusing on that. It's really great for homework. And my next question to Ahmed Badr, our representative of the IRENA. And Mr. Badr, could you describe what are the energy transition accelerator financing instrument within IRENA, and how could it facilitate investment into energy sector of Ukraine, dealing with the reconstruction projects? And maybe a couple of insight into the Ukraine Green Transition Program that are under development currently, and what, on your vision, what are the main homework to do, as the previous speakers focus on, from Ukrainian government to do, and from international community, from IRENA side, to facilitate and to promote this program to be more effective and successive? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. And I was listening since morning about several interventions. The ETAB platform actually from IRENA is that we partnered with 14 partners, and very soon will become 17, to pledge about $5 billion in terms of soft pledge to provide energy transition solutions to the countries in transition, developing economies specifically. For sure, Ukraine is one of the countries in focus, given the very unique situation that we are passing through. Yet, we are partnering now with the government of Italy, together with our funding partners under ETAF, which I will mention them now, in order to provide what we call it fit-for-purpose solutions. By definition, IRENA is not a bank, but I'm a banker, grown up between World Bank and EBRD. So, in a very simple way, the solution is not only about to de-risk projects, it's about to define affordable de-risking solutions. And that's the issues that we're working on. Providing de-risking guarantee in terms of amounts, it's always there. Money is always there. As you know, IRENA is based in Abu Dhabi. So the Gulf in general, they have tons of billions of dollars to invest in energy transition. Money is not a problem in all countries, even Europe, not a problem. The problem is to find affordable, paid back guarantees for the projects. And that's exactly what we're working on. So the two solutions we are doing that now, that we are partnering with Masdar and Abu Dhabi Fund to provide guarantees with accessible and concessional funding. And that's exactly the issue, that not all banks, and actually vast majority of banks, they don't provide concessional funding for guarantees. They go for commercial guarantees. but we are providing that through the ETAB platform. And this is actually, Svetlana, the homework that we define a couple of projects in the pipeline. The second issue is that the pipeline, I have to say, as was also mentioned by our previous guest from the Norwegian government, I think he's a special envoy for the Norwegian government, that when he talked about the pipeline is a key. If you look for the projects in the pipeline that we receive from Ukraine, actually 1 out of 17 projects that's really ticking all the box for being bankable. Yet it's not affordable for private sector. That's also that we combine the challenge. The third and important issue actually that we need, and we are working now on defining a new source of grants to provide for countries. And here is the good news that I would like to share, Svetlana, that today, in partnership with MIGA, we are launching at COP29, specifically what we call it, operationalization of ITMOs, which is basically Article 6 of Paris Agreement. How can any green energy projects generate carbon credits? Then we're gonna make it work, because we all know that G7 countries not going to commit any kind of payback for any carbon certificates. But the World Bank Group, in the last meeting we had last September, they commit to provide affordable and concessional guarantee for payback for the carbon credits, which we call it now under Paris Agreement, internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, or ITMOs. IRENA is partnering with MIGA, and our plan now, before end of the year, is to come up with affordable solutions for carbon credits to pay back the guarantee cost. This means the project will become really affordable and de-risked for private sectors to come. Finally, not to be long, is actually one of the very important issues I would like to highlight as the homework that you asked me about, is that in partnership with the government of Italy, you are providing some kind of pilot projects for the system to be decentralized system for solar PV homes. This is one of the very important solutions to ensure the system becoming very resilient in Ukraine. This is exactly the 3 dimensions that we are working in IRENA under the funding of the financing platform or ETAF, in order to make sure that we are coming with the solutions. We believe that before coming winter, we will find some kind of solution in the ground that we can achieve as an example to be replicated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bart, for your speech. And I'm really grateful, and my great appreciation to all speakers for insightful discussion. I think that everybody in this room supports that. That was very frank discussion on what is the unique Ukrainian case. We are reforming, we are recovering during war, during the tremendous geopolitical changes, and we do it together. We are reforming on the Ukrainian side, we are reforming in energy transition. We currently almost finalized our 4th energy package, integration package, to be aligning with the European Union requirements. And the part of this is the renewables law development, which is substantial. Also the energy market aligning with the European Union requirements. We are currently dealing with the implementation of the government corporate governance law implementation, which is also a substantial focal issue for all our reforming. And we do it together with the support of multiple instruments, models and programs. You provided examples for us, and I think that together we'll reach bright and sustainable future for energy sector and Ukraine and Europe and globally. Thank you very much for all your contributions.